Well, hello. This is your professor, Anthony Dallmann-Jones. I just wanted to let you know that I'm alive and I'm well and I'm kicking. And I'm a little grungy because I've been working on my yard, and I'll show you my yard real quick. Then we'll come back and talk about codependency. Yeah, here's my yard. You can see it's fall. It's my house. That's my living room. This is my office. It's my office door. There's my wife, Amy. Here's my wife, Amy, and my two sons. Zach is a short one. DJ's the tall one. And I hope that showed up all right. I had the camera turned the wrong way. But anyway, oh, this is from a dollhouse. Do you believe it? I was waterproofing my basement. And my wife has a big handmade dollhouse made by her grandfather. And I raised up into the corner. And has a sharp corner on a little roof. Bonk! Okay, well, you've been reading about codependency, and I wanted to talk to you just a few minutes about that because I know that it's either A, extremely simple, or quite confusing. And the truth is, you're right. It's both. It's confusing and it's simple. Probably the best description I ever heard was 2 words: looking elsewhere. What's that mean? Quite a bit. It means that a person is not complete within themselves, must look outside themselves for, well, it depends on the level, amount of codependency. Some people are totally outwardly focused and what we would call needy. They need someone else for security, they need someone else for fun, they need somebody else for meaning, they need somebody else for entertainment, they need somebody else to tell them what to do. So we have degrees. Some people are just codependent in one little area. So if you ever knew an athletic a child who was in sports, and they had one of those parents who live through their children and are just busting with pride. That was my boy that threw that block. That was my daughter that dunked that ball. You know, and you can just tell they're way over the top with it. That at those moments they're codependent. They're living through their children, and sometimes they will put. I was a former coach for a while. Actually, I was a teacher who coached rather than a coach who taught. I'll say it again. I was a teacher who coached rather than a coach who taught. There you go, almost close enough. I'm not going to do it again. And I had one boy ruined by parents from the stands because their son wasn't playing, and they rode roughshod over the kid who was in his place supposedly, and he left after a game one night and never came back. It was despicable, and I confronted the parents, and I told them I was ashamed of them, and they owed a huge apology to this kid, but he was permanently damaged. He never came back. He was totally humiliated and embarrassed. Every time he missed a shot, the mother and father would stand up and go, "Shooter!" How freaking childish is that? These were grown people who were like in their, had 35, 36-year-old people. So codependency is normally thought of as a romance addiction, falling in love with people who then you're dependent on and live through. You get all your meaning from them and your feelings, your good feelings from them. But it's also much more complex than that. There are families that are codependent in what we call enmeshed. Enmeshed means one of 2 things. Enmeshed is like the parents who live through their children, or the woman who lives through her man, or the man who lives through his woman. Men are very codependent, but don't appear to be in their traditional sense, the kind of mushy sense that that some people think codependency exhibits itself in. So, but they're just as codependent. That's why a man, his girlfriend or wife has an affair, and he's going to get a gun, and that was my woman, and all that jazz. That's the height of codependency. It's really based on fear. You live so much through that woman that you're going to kill. That's how addictive codependency can be. So we have the embedded families that are into everybody's business. They know everything everybody's doing. They're like a can full of worms, sliding all over each other, nosing around each other's lives, living through each other. You can tell by my look, it's distasteful to me. I probably come out of the other kind of codependency family. It's like when you get on an elevator and there's 5 people who don't know each other, and they all kind of allocate themselves, like one in each corner and one in the middle. Everybody's got their space. There are families like that. Dad's in the shop in the basement with his refrigerator full of beer, and mom's lives in the kitchen, and junior's in sports, and daughter's in cheerleading, and they're never home for supper, and they never eat together. They're all in their own separate worlds. They really don't have a healthy relationship with their families. They're just a place to sleep and maybe pick up some money or food, and then they're out of there. I was one of those. As soon as college, I was eligible for college, I was in the dorm. I was the first one in the dorm in the fall. I was the last one to leave at Thanksgiving, and I lived 22 miles from home. So I knew kids in eastern Pennsylvania who drove all day Friday and Friday night to be home for Saturday and Sunday, and then drove at noon on Sunday all the way back to campus through till 6 o'clock on Monday morning. I thought they were insane. I still think they were. This is from western Ohio all the way to eastern Pennsylvania. So I'm sorry I'm rambling a little bit, but I'm just trying to give you a flavor of codependency so that it's very real, and it sounds clinical sometimes in Terry's book, but it's very real, and it's also intertwined in people's positions, in their jobs. They think their jobs are they. Men who retire die within a year because they were their jobs. That means they're codependent on their jobs. So what is a healthy person? What's a healthy person like? Well, a healthy person is secure, is the word we would use, within themselves. Yes, we need help. Yes, I'm not going to do eye surgery on myself. That doesn't mean I'm codependent on my eye surgeon. It's okay to be affectionate and to enjoy being affectionate with someone. But it's not like your oxygen supply. So when we're talking about personal codependency or a job codependency, or you can be codependent on anything, religion, we're talking about over-the-top attachment, living through, feel like you're going to die if you lose it. Probably every addict you ever meet, if you scratch them deep enough, you'll find they're a codependent. They're living through their alcohol, they're living through their drugs, they're living through a lot of drug addicts just enjoy the ceremony as much as the product itself. Cocaine's not that rewarding. But the hunt for it, the excitement, the scrambling, the smelling it, chopping it up, whatever, all of that kind of stuff. It's almost like a guy who's into cigarettes, loves, tamping the pack down and the cellophane and opening the silver top just right and getting the cigarette out and packing it down and wetting his lip, and all that kind of stuff is almost more important than the smoking. So we're all kinds of addicts. All of us are addicted to something. It's not, but when it becomes clinical, when it becomes life-damaging, then we have what we call a clinical addiction, a dangerous addiction. Now, don't forget, you have all kinds of life, too. Financial life, family life, physical, psychological. So we can damage our life in many ways, not just physically for extinction, but also we can endanger our financial life through gambling, for example. We can endanger our personal psychological life through attachments that suck, our mental health out of our heads, and also emotionally. We can be damaged emotionally. So, for example, through sex abuse can create emotional damaging in people. So again, you start to see the complexity of codependency as well as the simplicity. The sign of wisdom is being able to hold two things that don't necessarily agree as equal at the same time. So you can hold the complexity of codependency and the simplicity of codependency at the same time and not have to have one single definition. Who said things have to have one single definition? If you look at the dictionary, you'll find several definitions for a lot of things. Codependency probably has about 30 definitions. But I like living elsewhere. Thanks. Happy fall, or whatever season you're in right now. Talk to you later.